Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we are witnessing the death throes of Kamala Harris's dying campaign. In an act of sheer desperation, she is now trying to tie him together with Hitler because of the word of John Kelly. In case you don't remember who General John Kelly is, this was a former staff member who started the suckers and losers rumor that was spread, of course, by leftist media, even though well over 25 staffers debunked the narrative. In an interview that he did with The Atlantic, go figure, he said that Trump wanted his generals to be just like Hitler's. But what's crazy is, again, just like the suckers and losers comment, nobody seems to have any recollection of that. Even a never-Trumper said he never heard that. So what did Kash Patel have to say? Check this out.
Personally disgusting, because when I was chief of staff at the Department of Defense, and tragically we lost Vanessa Guillen to a murder on a military base who was serving our country bravely. President Trump, when we informed him of that in the Oval Office, when I mean me and the Secretary of Defense, and of course then Chairman Mark Milley, President Trump wanted to assure that family that their daughter did not die in vain, and that he would give them full military honors, full financial assistance, and the honor that she deserved after serving our country being tragically murdered. That was his direction in the Oval Office. And he said if the Department of Defense would not pick up the tab because of some government bureaucracy error, he, Donald Trump, would pick up the tab. That's the type of commander-in-chief I've seen in the Oval Office time and time and time again. And what the Atlantic did was absolutely disgusting. They said President Trump made up vile comments about Mexican Americans and that it shouldn't cost this much or that much to bury a fallen soldier. Of course, it was Mark Milley who's responsible for this leak, just like so many other lies. And the Atlantic went and ran with it. And to further debunk the lie, not that I put aside the fact that I was there in the Oval, Vanessa Guillen's mother and her sister personally responded to the Atlantic article and said President Trump has been nothing but gracious and kind and generous to her family, and that the radical left wing is using this piece, which is made up, for political fodder. And her own family was personally disgusted by it and refuted the story entirely, but the Atlantic printed it anyway, just like they did their wonderful hit piece on me. But you're right, Charlie. They're never going to stop. But this one's even low by those standards. They're desecrating the men and women that wear the cloth of our country to defend our nation, and they are desecrating the fallen, just like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden did for the brave 13 warriors who they are responsible for their death from the Afghanistan disaster control.
You know, I wish I had another video that could show you some of the lies that they've been caught up in. Oh, hey, appreciate you, Wes Hunt.
And the Atlantic goes on to cite, they claimed that they heard Trump say, quote, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had, people who were totally loyal to him that follow orders." And reporting that Trump complained about picking up the tab for a fallen U.S. soldier's funeral.
And here's the headlines from the Atlantic. Trump, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had." And here's what the sister said about this story. "Wow, I don't appreciate how you all are exploiting my sister's death. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa."
Donald Trump refused to visit a cemetery, U.S. cemetery outside of Paris for fallen American soldiers. And he referred to those heroes, and I quote, as suckers and losers.
And yet, despite indisputable evidence, The Atlantic has not issued a correction or updated their article.
We had 25 people that were witnesses that are on the record already that have said that never took place.
Here's President Trump in 2018 visiting graves in France at the American Cemetery of Surin.
Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Let's just go back to January 6th, and he will not send the National Guard. Some people died because of it.
I have responsibility, Terry. The National Guard, I take responsibility for not having them.
He talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. President of the United States should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
So I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like I said this 5 years ago, you locked me up. We gotta lock him up.
Trump valued the property based on the false premise that it was an unrestricted residential 18-acre. In fact, the valuations represent that these restrictions don't even exist.
Donald Trump's home here in Palm Beach is quickly earning the title Winter White House. Now, some say it's the most valuable parcel of land anywhere in Florida. Much of the 126-room estate is used by the members-only Mar-a-Lago Club.
Oh, the lies they tell. And that's just a small snippet, just a small sample size of all the lies that have been refuted over and over again. I mean, we can go down lists like the Charlottesville, the good people on both sides, or he called the Mexicans rapists and all this other nonsense. This is the tactic that they use. And the saddest part is you will still have people who will have their confirmation bias and that they hold on to that Trump derangement syndrome no matter how much medicine you give them. But that's okay, because we only got a few more days until this election, and I cannot wait. And I'm going to tell you like this. I once again will say that I think that this thing is going to be too big to rig. And it's Trump 2024 over here, baby. So let's get this right. Talk to you in the next one.